Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
So that when I finally, 1987, I asked Dad, can I sing with you tonight at the State Fair in Phoenix? And he goes, well, sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I really got to do it. You know, he said yes.
I didn't know you had such a big one, Mike. I've always wanted to say that.
Hi.
Hey. Hi.
Hi.
You will notice that now Harriet has returned, Sherry has left. I wonder what that means. Anyway. Perhaps they're the same person. Perhaps Sherry's just got on a different wig. Anyway, no, it's Harriet is back. It's lovely to have Harriet back. But of course, my darling Julie is here. Hello, Angel.
Oh,
Julie has come back, has flown into the nest this afternoon. This afternoon.
And Merry Christmas. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. What are you doing for Christmas, Julie?
My daughter and my two grandchildren and her hubby are coming on the 19th for sort of a Christmas day then, because we're actually going down to Brighton. Christmas. I have always wanted to swim in the sea as they do. I think it's Christmas morning in Brighton.
Yeah.
So this is insane. No, I'll get in a hot bath, dear. I'm not getting in the
Wow.
I haven't even got a wetsuit. I'm actually going to go with my cozy underneath my clothes. And if the spirit takes me, and I think it might, I'm in there.
Get Patrick to film it, please, darling.
Okay, I will.
Oh, Julie, Julie.
Yes, darling, I'm so impressed. But actually, girls, what need to talk to Julie, I would love to see that. Really would love to see that. I'm sure I'll get a phone call on Christmas morning saying, "Oh, I've done it." Anyway, I want to talk about what's going on at the moment. Working from home. I mean, does anybody know what's happening? Do you?
No, it's insane. And what's amazing is this time when you started with the idea of Wonderbirds, it's because everyone was working at home, and that's how it started. And now we seem to have gone full circle. I'm of course still wicked queening in Panto. I'm not working from home.
No,
I'm still going in, and everyone should be there at Woking.
Harriet, has it affected the ticket price? Not the ticket price, the ticket sales.
Wow.
People still coming.
People are flocking in there. Everyone, the rules are you have to have your masks on, and I think you show your NHS COVID pass or whatever, and everyone is there. It is full houses and they are loving it. And it is, again, you realize what we all do as performers, how we miss that instantaneous connection. Yes, it's wonderful to watch television. Yes, the arts have saved us in this lockdown, but that immediacy with live theatre is like nothing else. And the kids just love it. They're just so happy. It's a joy.
When do you run until, Harriet? When do you finish?
The 2nd of January, darling.
Okay, and Woking.
So we're going to be seeing her very soon, aren't we, girls?
Yes, we should go. We should go and see it. We are. We're going to see Harriet.
I think next week we'll talk to you about that after the show.
Thank you.
So Dee, who have we got today? We have a very interesting and eclectic guest. Is that a good word to use at this time?
So exciting. I mean, we've all heard of Glenn Cambell, haven't we? The iconic, amazing singer. I mean, Wichita Lineman. I mean, so many wonderful, iconic songs. And it's his daughter. And she's not just his daughter. She's also forged her own career, has got the most stunning singing voice. And it's the amazing Debby Campbell.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, darling. It's so lovely to see you. Well, I've been listening to all your wonderful songs, and you've got a most stunning voice.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Not at all. And of course, you worked for a long, long time with your fabulous dad, Glenn Cambell. So that must have been an amazing experience for you.
It really was. I didn't grow up with Dad, so
no.
And he was always on the road anyway. When I would go spend summers with them in LA when I was younger, and so Dad was always out touring, so I was basically with Billy and the kids most of the time. And so, of course, you knew Dad loved you, but the kind of relationship that you would have with a parent that's always around, like your mom.
Of course.
And, when I finally, 1987,
I asked Dad, can I sing with you tonight at the State Fair in Phoenix? And he goes, well, sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I really got to do it. You know, he said yes. So I shook all the way through, but he loved it. And he had been retired a little bit in the early, like around that period of time in the 80s. And so he thought, honey, if I go back out on the road, will you go out and sing with me? And I said, well, sure. You know, if my airline job if I could work it around my airline job, because I'd started working for America West Airlines also at that year. But we made it work for over 25 years, and that became the building of what our relationship became.
Oh,
So moving and profound. And you had an amazing journey with him, particularly at the end of his life, because he had Alzheimer's, didn't he?
Yes, it was heart-wrenching. In fact, I was in denial for a while, you know. I mean, even though I was aware that he had been diagnosed with it, it was really hard. I took it really hard. And you lose them twice, you know, when you have that disease, you lose them twice. So it was really not a great journey at the end.
No, I identify my mother had dementia, and I think you watch them disappear.
Yes.
The only wonderful thing is when they're no longer here, you regain them as the person that they were, not who they became.
Exactly.
And that's the wonderful thing. And the celebration of him and you is the wonderful thing. And also you do a lot for the Alzheimer's charities, don't you?
Anytime anybody needs me to come and perform for Alzheimer's, I'm there, you know.
Yeah.
I'm very adamant, very strong about my feelings with it. I've done a lot of walks here in Phoenix. I've even come to England and done a fundraiser. I did one in Dublin. You know, I mean, Alzheimer's is everywhere. It's just not in the state, you know, America.
Can I ask about you say your aviation and flying career? What is that exactly?
I'm a flight attendant.
Oh my God, how blissful.
35 years.
No.
Yeah.
And who do you fly with now?
Well, I started with America West Airlines, and then they merged. It was a hometown Phoenix airline.
Yeah.
And then they merged later on with US Airways. And then we merged with American. So now I'm American.
And where do you work,
done.
darling? Which do you turn left or right?
Well, before COVID, I was doing a lot of international, and it was great because I would come to England a lot because Dad and I toured so much. And, I don't know if you knew, I went to high school in England.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. And so I have a love affair with Europe and the UK, and so I would bid trips like to Manchester or London, and a lot of fans, Dad's fans were so strong in the UK that I became friends with a lot of them because a lot of them were my age,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I'd get trips on an overnight, I'd get together with the fans here, the fans in Dublin, Manchester, London, where, and we'd go out and have a bite to eat. And so that became my usual route, coming over to England. I loved it.
Fantastic.
I grew up in the north of England, and my mum and dad adored Glenn Campbell. They adored him. And what seems to be wonderful is that, everything from, Rhinestone Cowboy, Wichita, Lineman, you can remember all of the songs. You can sing them instantly. I think I was about 11 when, by the time I get to Phoenix, was playing all the time. And it's just fabulous to have actually grown up with him. I know you sing wonderfully. Do all of your siblings sing? I know you're the eldest. Did everybody sing in the family?
Yes. Billy's, Kelly, Trav, and Kane don't. Travis played the drums. That's from Dad's second marriage. And then Dylan from Dad's third marriage, he does sing and play. And then, of course, the younger three that ended the tour with Dad.
Yeah. Wow. So it's kind of, you're hardwired into you, isn't it?
Well, I never thought I'd end up singing when I was like in the 8th grade, I sang in a talent show or something, and I dabbled around when I moved to LA to live with Dad and Billy after I graduated from high school. I dabbled around with some rock bands. But it just, I always wanted to be a mom and have kids and go that route, and, but then I found out you could do both. Although I was juggling a flying job, flying career, singing with Dad, single mom, 3 kids,
Wow.
I guess you can have it all, you know.
You can.
I think that's fantastic, Debbie, because that is so inspiring that you do have it all. But you know, you weren't brought up with your dad. How, when you sort of connected with him when you were growing up, it must have been so exciting to meet some of the people that he was working with, because they would, you know, in that sort of generation, they would have been the most iconic stars in the world. What?
Right.
Can you give us some stories?
Well, I can tell you when I first moved from England to LA to live with Dad, and that was like, you know, that was when Rhinestone Cowboy was coming out at the height of everything, you know. I remember walking into their home, and you know, somebody could have lived in there for a month and you wouldn't have known it. It was so big. I thought I needed like a tour guide to get to my bedroom sometimes, you know. But that house was huge, but it was beautiful. It wasn't like a mausoleum or anything. Billy really had great decorating tastes. But I remember going, when I was there, Dad had a big party up at the house, and Lauren Green from Bonanza and Michael Landon, a lot of those guys were up there. I remember when Roger Miller used to come over all the time. It was really funny. He liked McDonald's. That was his favorite food, McDonald's. So Billy, for Roger's birthday one year, she had a Big Mac cake made. It was the coolest thing. I mean, it looked just like a hamburger.
Wow.
It was a cake. It was really cool. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet a lot of celebrities over the years with Dad. I got to tour with Anne Murray and him over in the UK. Fell in love with Anne Murray. Yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed. You know, when I get in the air, in the back of an airplane, sitting on that jump seat, you know, I don't think about, you know, I like, well, if today's the day, I have to praise the Lord that I've had such a blessed life, because I really, really have.
And what about your children, Debbie? What do they do?
My daughter is the oldest. She lives here in Phoenix, and she's in the dental field. She works in the dental office, runs the office. My oldest boy, well, he's the second child, but my oldest son, he just opened a store in Port Washington, New York. He's a chef.
Oh.
And COVID hit him and his wife pretty hard, because she's a photographer. He was a chef. So he just opened a month ago, and they're killing it. I mean, he was born in Italy. My ex-husband was in the military, as was my stepdad. So I'm so used to traveling around all the time. And he was born in Italy, because we were over there for 4 years when he was in the Air Force. And his love of, it's amazing. It's so funny, because he doesn't look anything like an Italian, of course, just because he was born there. But his love is pasta and Italian food, Italian cuisine. Yeah. So he opened a store that he makes the sandwiches. He makes all his sauces.
What's it called?
It's called Sarah Provisions, and they have an online store also. Sarah, SERRA Provisions.com. I think Sarah means greenhouse in Italian, but he makes all the pasta. I mean, and they've only been open a month, and thank God it's working, because I was worried. They just had a baby. I have 6 grandchildren and 1 great granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I know.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow. Great granddaughter. Amazing. How old is she, Debbie?
She'll be 5 next month. So I'll be venturing over to Illinois. My granddaughter is 25, her mother. Oh. And I know I just can't believe, and I'm so thankful that I can fly all these places so I can go hang out. Of course, I'll get on the phone. Hey, Mom, can you fly over and babysit? Okay, what day do you need me? You know.
Wow.
That is so lovely. But that's the most important thing, I think, with our business. Sometimes it's all consuming, and then, you know, but the family, this is what you've done, you know, your dad, in your children, and in his great grandchildren. What a fantastic legacy for their lives to know, you know, where they come from. I think that's just so wonderful. And that's the great thing about being in our industry, is that our lives are documented in some sort of way. So everybody's got something to look back on.
Yeah, exactly. I know. My mom and stepdad were still living in Germany, and they'd been over there. I mean, they stayed over there for like 10 years. And so when my ex-husband got out of the military, I wanted my kids to be around a grandparent. You know, my mom was still over in Germany, so that's why we moved to Phoenix, because that's where Dad was living. And my kids were very close with Dad. I'm very blessed for that I did that move when I did it, because they got to really know their grandpa, not Glenn Cambell. and they played golf with him all the time, just like I did when we were in Branson. And so I'm just very thankful that they got to experience that journey with Dad too.
Well,
So
we're all massive fans of Glenn Campbell and of yours, Debbie, too. When you come back to England, please come and see us. We'd love to see you.
Oh my gosh, I want to come in and be a sit-in like Julie.
Yeah.
You can do that. That would be amazing, Debbie.
Anytime.
Can I just put you on the spot really quickly? Your dad made over 60 albums, 64, I think, of all of his records. Do you have a favorite at all?
I do. I love the Reunion album.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. But my favorite song was I Will Never Pass This Way Again. I don't know if you remember that song, but that was my most favorite ever.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We'll play a bit of that, Debbie. We'll play a bit of that.
Okay. Oh, yay, thanks. Oh, yeah, because it is on my CD. Yeah.
Brilliant.
For I'll never see this day again.
You see my grandparents right here?
Yes.
Dad's mom and
amazing.
dad. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Merry Christmas, Debbie.
Merry
Bye,
Christmas,
darling.
all of you. Thank you so much. I loved it.
Thank you. We love you too.
Bye.
That was wonderful. What a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Wow, what a
And
fabulous,
to still be
fabulous
working as a stewardess.
I know.
I loved it. When you said right or left, I knew you meant first class or standard.
I mean, I always turn right. Sadly, I'm not left-handed.
I don't
Me
know.
too.
Sadly,
Right on
but
an
it was.
aircraft?
It,
Is there right? Is there right on an aircraft?
Oh,
You're
Debbie.
going to turn right?
oh,
I-
please,
that's
somebody.
it, right.
Darling,
Anyway.
we just know that you just sit at the front.
On the pilot's knee.
Oh, yes. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Who's coming in next?
We've got one of your favourite people on Wonderbirds. We've got Mike Simkins with Mike Simkins' Book Club. Yay!
Yay!
It's a very empty book.
Um,
How to style out a Christmas hat, Mike. That's good. Not that you don't look good, Dee, but just Mike looks.
I
His
didn't
bigger
know
bobble.
you had such a big one, Mike. I've always wanted to say that.
Yeah.
yes.
Welcome to Canto. How are we all?
We're fine.
Thank you.
Really nice to see you.
Mike, tell us your news.
My news? Do you mean my book news or my private personal news?
Well,
Private,
no,
personal,
of course. We don't care about the books, dear. Just give us your private one.
My personal news is that we're like all of you, we're all just hanging on in there, aren't we? We're
Yes.
hanging on in there in the clinches.
Yep.
Mining our fun where we can, and every social event that I get invited to is a calculation between what's the chances it'll kill me and what's the chances that I'll have a really good feed, and I have to make daily judgments. So Julie, get us over to your place because I know we'll have a good feed and it'll be safe.
Yeah, we're treble vaxed, and you will have a good feed. Deal. What have you been reading as well, Mike?
What have I been reading? Well, ladies, I've got two books. It's funny because since I started doing the book reviews for the fabulous Wonderbirds, I think I've said it before, it's interesting how often my attention is turned to traveling. And I think that that's something to do with the fact that none of us can go any further than Worthing at the moment without suffering a nervous breakdown. And who would want that? And so I've got two books today. One is this fabulous book, which I think is a wonderful book for anybody that has got wanderlust but can't go anywhere and wants to escape, at least in their mind. It's called The Lost Pianos of Siberia.
Oh,
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
It's an extraordinary story. This journalist, Sophie Roberts, finds herself in a yurt in Mongolia in 2015 with a woman from Mongolia who is a concert standard pianist who laments the fact that she hasn't got a piano to play her wonderful stuff on because they're very thin on the ground. And for reasons which you'll find out when you read the book, it propels Sophie Roberts into making what she admits is an act of selfish madness, is that she decides to go to Siberia to try and find lost pianos from the pre-Tsarist, from before the Tsar, during the Tsar, and then during the communist era. Now, this may seem incredibly dry and slightly pointless project, But the fact is that during the last 200 years, as history unfolded, pianos went to all parts of, and Siberia covers an 11th of the world's landmass. It's an extraordinarily big place, and scattered in these extremely remote cities are these wonderful pianos from the 17th, 18th, 19th century, and then also in the communist period, many of which are, of course, battered, they're forgotten. God knows how they got there. Many of them were hauled on sledges because there were no railway lines. And Sophie Roberts sets out to try and find some of these extraordinary old instruments and find people that can still play them. Now,
how moving.
It's a wonderful tale. She's not wholly successful. A lot of these wonderful instruments she either can't find, or when she finds them, they're unplayable. But the journey that she takes, the people she meets, the escapades she gets into in trying to find them. So it's a wonderful mixture, this book, of it's part detective story, part travelogue, part memoir, and it will tick all the boxes for anybody that wants to settle down during these long December nights and immerse themselves in a story that is so out of all our comfort zone sitting here in Britain that I can tell you, you will really enjoy it. The Lost Pianos of Siberia by Sophie Roberts. And if you want to taste it before you read it, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube which will give you a visual taste of what's in store.
Fantastic.
That sounds amazing.
What a passionate review. Thank you.
And the next one, please.
And the next one, did you say? Yes. Well, my other one is, I have some interest in this. I thought it would be good for Christmas just to have a bit of a theatrical biography, because we all like them. And who better to turn to than Sian Phillips, not least because she's 88. I went to see her 3 weeks ago in a Beckett play at the Jermyn Street Theatre, in which she was sensational, as she always is. I don't know how Sian does it. I worked with her many years ago on the Disney make of Heidi with Jane Seymour and Robards.
Gosh.
Yes, I always remember Jane Seymour saying to me in the makeup caravan that she just published a book of all the places where she's had her most wonderful romantic encounters in life. And something I couldn't stop myself. I said to her, I don't suppose Stoke Newington gets a mention, does it? She had the good grace to smile, albeit slightly a rictus grin, but never mind. Anyway, Sian, of course, is lovely. She's one of the loveliest. But of course, even if she didn't have this extraordinary career, which is encapsulated in this book, Private Lives and Public Places, she was married to Peter O'Toole. And I can tell you that her memoir of her life with Peter O'Toole is in itself worth reading. It's an extraordinary story of essentially ecstasy and abject misery.
Yeah. She's wonderful. She's a dear friend of mine, actually, and we've worked together recently. And she's the most inspirational woman I know.
Wow.
And the fact that she works endlessly, faultlessly, and is so funny and so generous and so amazing. I can't wait to read it.
Well, it's interesting in her introduction to this book. She says that she believes the key to her zest for life, and it is a genuine zest. It's not one of those people that appears on chat shows saying how wonderful life is at 80, and you can see that it isn't. You know, Sian, as you said, really glows with that sense of almost being immortal. She's forever young. Yeah. She puts it down to the fact that she's constantly moving house. And,
She is. She lived in Brick Lane at one point, and she had some amazing graffiti artist graffiti her door. And it was the most cool, amazing thing I've ever seen. And she moves all the time. She's amazing.
Do you know what? I think that she's got something there, because a friend of mine always has a row with their neighbour. And he's nearly 90, and he actually said he thinks it's keeping him going. He said if he didn't have a row with his neighbours, whoever they are, because he always falls out with his neighbours, he wouldn't be here.
That's hysterical.
Did he move, or do they move, Dee? After the row, does he?
Exactly.
They do, obviously, if he's still there.
Happy Christmas from all of us Wonderbirds. Thank you for all you've done for us this year. We love all your book reviews. Please come back and see us next year. Sorry you haven't been here for a little bit, but I know you've been busy boy.
Yeah, and it's so lovely to see all your faces, and have a great Christmas. Stay out of trouble.
We'll try.
Stay out of trouble, and we'll see each other in the new year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks,
Happy
Mike. Thank you.
Christmas.
Bye.
What a wonderful man.
Oh, he's-
Oh, that is so fabulous, so inspiring.
Can't
And
wait
Sean
to get
Phillips
those books.
I didn't realise Sean Phillips was 88. That's magnificent.
And when we were doing a show, we were at the Savoy and we were sitting on the floor and a mouse ran in and we just went, oh, how sweet. And then it ran upstairs and we heard all the chorus people screaming and shouting. We were like, oh, they are ridiculous because we're both animal mad.
I think we've got to just, we're all rushing around getting lovely presents, and we're in a very privileged position, even if we're a bit broke sometimes, but we've got to really think of people who really are on their own with absolutely no money, not even a roof over their heads. I think we've got to think of them at Christmas, and I know that we all do, but just a little reminder, and there's lots of ways of really helping people like that, even just, thinking about a neighbour on their own, or just the local sort of thing in the local shop, just a little charity thing. And I think really we've got to just remind ourselves as well as everyone that we are very fortunate. I mean, we all moan and groan. I mean, I'm the worst person that does that, but
I think you're right.
very...
Salute to all the amazing Christmas charities is
Yes.
so important, and I know we all we all give to all of them, and I think you're so right. And I was out yesterday after the show, and there was a woman in the street, a mature woman our age, with a cup in her hand. And again, absolutely, you give money. And if it's not to a particular charity, then there are people who are living rough. And of course, absolutely, we need to salute them all because, do everything we can.
I mean, many years ago, Julie and I, do you remember what we did?
We've done so much. You've got to fill me in.
No, we actually turned up at Bondway with a whole load of knickers. We actually decided to get Christmas presents for all the people that lived in Bondway, which is a place in London where all the older tramps go. And this is a long time ago, about 15 years ago.
Yeah, because you
long
don't call
time ago.
Darling, you call them homeless.
Yes, but I mean, these were, this was 15, but these were in those days. These were old men on the street. So we went to Bondway, Julie and I, and we turned up in our fur coats. So it was so ridiculous with all these special Christmas presents to give to these guys at Bondway. And as we walked in, I heard one of these guys say, "Oh my God, I wished for these two angels at Christmas." And in they walked. I mean, what we must have looked like arriving at this place at the time. But we did, and
that's hilarious.
And it was our knicker campaign. So we gave in these bags. We gave, I think there were 100 of them. We gave knickers. I think it was fruit, a bar of chocolate, biscuits, a packet of cigarettes, and a little thing of brandy. Believe it or not, for everybody. And they were absolutely bowled over by it, and it was just one of the best things that I've ever done.
Absolutely
Beautiful.
Your daughters did that amazing trip for the last 2 years with the bus
With the
homeless.
Yeah, buses for homeless. So I think it's always been in them. But I think the knicker campaign that I did and Julie and I did was so funny because we got all the people in all the voiceover studios to donate money so we could buy all these knickers. Because I asked Bondway, what do homeless people need the most? And he said, underwear.
Yes, underwear.
Knickers for the homeless.
Girls, who have we got coming in on Friday?
We have got the most fabulous guest, Sarah Parish, who, I love her. I'm sure we've all seen her in The Holiday and Wedding Days and all sorts of things all over the years.
So exciting. How lovely. So we'll see you Friday.
See you Friday, Jules. It's so nice to have you on two shows as well.
See you Friday, darling.
See you Friday.
Bye.
Friday.